Hey, what's up YouTube? Here's Samuel here again. I wanted to talk about my first mobile home I bought and flipped. Kind of flipped. We'll get into it as you watch the video. Just a heads up, I paid $500 for this mobile home and I intend to get at least $10,000 out of it. So follow along as I'll show around the mobile home, talk about how I found it, how much I paid for it, and just dig into all the nitty-gritty details. All right. So I'm here currently in my mobile home that I bought for $500, and I lived in this mobile home for a year and a half. I paid $500 for it, which was a really good deal in my opinion, for what it was. And interesting story. I'll talk briefly on how I found this. I looked, and I'll try to post a picture of this if I can find it, because I know I have one somewhere. But when you see the picture, you'll know why. I saw this mobile home for sale, $500, and I thought that is a piece of junk. And I didn't think anything of it, but I was looking for mobile homes, something to flip. I had some money, I wanted to invest it, and I've been wanting to get into real estate. I am in real estate a little bit now. Just kind of the beginner stages, but I've bought a couple mobile homes to date, and then a couple houses to date. But this was my first purchase, if you can call it real estate, mobile home, not quite real estate. But it was my first purchase as far as like a house, and I spent $500 for it. I was a little terrified because the lot rent was $368 a month, and I was going to pay that every month. So for as long as I had it, and my goal was to get in and out of this as fast as possible. Flip it and try to sell it for about $20,000 is what I was hoping to sell it for. So back to how I found this mobile home. I saw this ad. I thought that's a piece of junk. I kept looking. I went to look at several mobile homes, and this mobile home was right just about 8 minutes away from where I lived. But for some reason, I was like, I just never thought anything of it. I went and looked at a ton of mobile homes. I went back to this listing. I looked at it again for some reason, and I read the description. The description said brand new hot water heater, new furnace, new roof coated. And I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. The picture looked terrible, but it's interesting that there's all this new stuff that's talking about. So I thought, you know what? It's 8 minutes away. I'll give it a chance. I drove over here, and it was a good deal. I bought it the very next day. I told her I'll think about it, and it was in the evening. The next day, I was like, had a check in hand, and I purchased it. I felt like it was a really good deal. So I'm going to show you around here. We'll kind of walk through the house. I'll try to talk about what it looked like. I may or may not post some pictures as we go when I edit this later. But I do have some pictures of this progress. This took me 2.5 to 3, I think like closer to 3 months. I was hoping to do it in 1 month. Didn't happen. I put $6,000 into it roughly, and I'll talk more about that after I show you. All right, so as we walk in the door here, here's the front door. I actually replaced this door, put a brand new one in. The old one was shot. Actually, this entire floor section all along here, and this entire wall, that wall was loose when I got it. So I had to do a lot of patch-up work in that wall and in the floor. There's new plywood in there, and I did quite a bit of patch-up work all in this area. This entire window, this window is new. I did quite a bit of framing around the window new, because this section of the wall, it started rotting right here and kind of spread to about there and spread across to about there, and underneath the window was all rotted. So that whole wall, like you could kick it and it would just it would move. It was kind of scary, but that was a process getting that fixed. Then this window over here, it didn't even have a window. It was completely gone. But also there was some damage down here. I don't think it was as bad as the other window, and so this is the living room. So you walk in the kitchen, there's this annoying step here, and I really wanted to remove it, but it was going to be a nightmare, and I decided like all these kitchen cabinets would have to change. It just wasn't worth it. I just left it. It ended up not being a big deal. So these kitchen cabinets, starting all, let's see if it focused there. all those upper cabinets are original to the house. There was a weird box thing there, or it was a wall, I think. It was just like a wall that came out. I got rid of it. There's just no point for it. This cabinet is brand new. I bought this pretty recently, and this is actual, has like drawers, so it's kind of nice. What I'm doing, and I'll talk about this a little bit more, this home, I lived in it. I ended up buying it to sell, but then I ended up living in it for a year and a half. So that's kind of how the evolution of this started. So all these cabinets are original, like I was saying. That window is the only window in the house that I did not change. And if I knew I was going to live in it, I would have changed it. I just did not want to spend the money because it's like a custom size. And to buy a custom window was going to be expensive. And to try to get a different window to fit, I was going to have to do a lot of retrofitting and like trying to make that work. And so I just decided not to do it to cut cost. I would have put a new window in though if I had planned on it living in it. Again, when I worked on this, the plan was 1 month, you know, as little money as possible and flip it, which didn't quite happen as I expected. These, starting right there all across, this counter is all new. Well, it was new when I installed it. It's looking a little rough now. I'm going to touch it up. But the countertop, the sink, all this, I ripped out the old stuff. It was trash. And I custom built that entire thing because this stuff's expensive. That right there is like $250, $300, just that little unit. So that was going to be like $1,000 or more for all these, something like that. So I ended up building this myself for like a couple $100, and I was really into saving money. So I saved quite a bit of money by doing that. And this is still original to the house. I did put a couple new shelves in there. All these doors were ugly blue color, so they all got painted, or yellow. Actually they were yellow. The house was really nasty. Let me see if I can zoom out. So all this was yellow. The roof was blue, and the walls were blue. And hopefully I can find some pictures and post in here later on. But it was nasty, so I repainted that. This ceiling's original. It's the only ceiling that's left original in the whole house. What I ended up doing is adding, so they have these screws. I added one in between every other one because it was really warped, to reinforce it. And then I had a friend of mine come and texture the whole thing just to kind of make it look a little fresher, and then I painted it. And it ended up looking pretty good. So I'm glad I did that. I saved money. One thing that was a hassle was getting these lights in because they were not original. There was only like one light over there and one light there, which it was really weird. But so I had to stick wires across between the insulation and the roof and all that, and that was kind of a hassle. But I was able to get all these lights installed. All this paneling is new, or was new when I did this, as well as the flooring is new, kind of obvious. This paneling may have been a mistake. I think I installed it wrong because it warped. Let's see if we can see it somewhere. Well, it's kind of hard to tell on the camera, but it's like right there. It's like warped all over the place. I think there's a good example here. Yeah, so here, like, it just popped out. It's warped all over the place. I probably should have went with drywall, but this stuff was cheaper, and I was trying to save money. And ended up, I thought this looked really nice, but it's kind of dark and depressing, especially when you get more furniture in here and you actually live in here. All right, so yeah, the kitchen, I did quite a bit of work in here. Nothing major. The walls were pretty good. I just new paneling, patched up insulation, new electric outlets. That whole section's new, repainted the rest. This window's new. All the windows are new except that one in the whole house. That refrigerator is not original. The original refrigerator went bad. So moving on, go down the hallway. This roof I re-emplaced. It's drywall all along there. And then this room, also the ceiling is new. This, I'm currently working on replacing this framing here. What happened is when I installed this window, there was a leak, and for about a month or so. I hadn't come out here, and literally in that short amount of time, the trim, was this stuff, just got this nasty look. It's really cheap trim. See, like, that's how bad it was. So I fixed the leak, but then I just left that trim, and it's been on for forever. But I'm gonna resell this house, put this house back up for sale, and so I want to fix a few things. So interesting thing in this room, if you're ever gonna do a mobile home, something I've learned, you learn a thing or two when you do this. All this paneling in here, so all these walls are original to the house. And it's pretty interesting. What I ended up doing is the paneling, in some places it was loose. I actually had to take some paneling off to replace that window. I did some work in here, so I had to take some paneling off and whatever, but I put it back on. And what I ended up doing is having a friend of mine come. I built this later, so that wasn't there originally. Come and texture all the panels. So he textured everything, and I painted it white, and it looks awesome. And I spent no money, and some of these panels I never actually took off the wall. So it saved me a lot of time and a ton of money, and it ended up looking really nice. Like, so I wish I had done this to the entire house instead of tearing all the paneling off and replacing it. So it's something I've learned. If I ever do one of these, like, the paneling in here was all different types, colors, and styles. Like, it's not even the same pattern. So, like, let's see if we can find it. It's kind of hard to tell now with the textures and everything. But if I remember right, some of these patterns, well, like this one has no lines. Like one line there. And then this one has a line and probably another one. It's like this. So it's all different, but you don't really even tell. You can't tell after it's all done. So that is a tip. If you're ever going to do a flip on a mobile home, just, staple them back together a little bit, texture and paint them, and they will look really nice. So that's this room. We ended up using it as our closet when we lived here. So moving on here, this is the bathroom, which looks kind of terrible. That I made a mistake when I remodeled this, and I did not put a dryer vent. And then when I came to live here, I'm like, oh, I need a dryer vent. So I destroyed the wall trying to put one in, and we had a stacked unit, so you couldn't see it. But now I got to figure out a way to fix that because it looks terrible. But we had a stacked washer and dryer here, so you just wouldn't see any of that. This entire bathroom, when I got the house, the floor, like, you would fall through the floor. So all this is new. That wall stayed. This wall is new. Obviously, this the door. This wall is new. All this wall is new, and all this is new. There wasn't even a wall there, I don't think. And that is where the hot water tank is. It's inside there. So everything in here is new. The floor from the ceiling down, basically, except that wall, like the studs are original. All the water lines, I ended up doing all new sewer and water lines. I ended up doing a lot more work to this house than I probably should have. So this is a mess, and that's one of the things I need to work on. But I wanted to point out this shower. So this shower was original to the house, and it was that disgusting blue. And I sanded it. Apparently I didn't do a good enough job sanding, or probably the thing I did is I didn't use the right paint. But I sanded it down, I painted it, and it lasted a month or two, and then it slowly started chipping. Now it's disgusting. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this, because I'm going to put the house up for sale, and I don't want it to look like that. So I'm going to figure something out. I got to figure out a different type of paint to use or something. And then this paneling, I was trying to save money, so I got this paneling kit stuff that gets glued to the wall. It ended up not like gluing very well. Can't find this. It seems better now, but it's kind of loose in spots. And I made a mistake when I installed this, and I cut this panel when I shouldn't have. So then I ended up gluing this one on, and then gluing that one little piece on top, and it's still lower than this piece. And I thought That kit was like $100, but to buy an actual thing was like $300, $400, $500, and I had to order and wait for one to come. So I made it work. And ended up working. So, and this is the master bedroom. It's a tiny room. This room had 3 windows, 1, 2, 3. And I got rid of 2 because each window was like $150. And I'm like, I don't want to buy 3. I just want to buy 1. So I got rid of the other 2. And anyways, I didn't think you needed 3 windows. And this room is all drywall, except this wall. This is the only wall that did not put drywall. But I did drywall on all these walls. And I was going to do drywall in the entire house. And I kind of started in here. And then I decided to go to the paneling. But yeah, something else I thought I was mention is there was a door here that went to the outside. I completely got rid of it because, like, what do you need a door for there? Every mobile home has them. And I got rid of it. So, but yeah, that is the mobile home. Kind of a little bit the history of how I worked on it. But so a little history what happened. I bought this mobile home again for $500. Planned to sell it for about $20. Took me about 3 months. I was hoping it would take me 1 month. About $6,000. I posted it for $20,000. And in the process of me finishing this house, I met my wife, which wasn't my wife then, and started dating. And I finished this house and we put it up. I put it up for sale. Plan was to sell it. I actually bought an actual real estate. I may talk about that in my first real estate deal as I was finishing this. And I put it up for sale. We started praying that it would sell. We wanted it to sell. We started at $20,000. I lowered to $18,000. I lowered it all the way down to $8,000. I think I was getting desperate. I just wanted it gone. And it's kind of an interesting story because both my girlfriend at the time and I were praying that this house would sell, and it would not sell. I was like down to like $8,000. I'm like, that's a steal. I was offering financing, everything. And then I thought, well, why don't we live there? So I thought I would never live in a mobile home, but we ended up moving in here, and I'm really glad we did. It saved me a ton of money, and we lived in here for just over a year. So I lived about half a year in here, and then together we lived about a year. And I bought another mobile home. I'll talk about that in another video for $100 and cheaper. That one needed more work, and that is where I'm living now. So I'll do a video someday about that mobile home. It's still under construction a little bit, but we're living in that. We're moving out of this one. This one's going to go up for sale, and hopefully it sells this time, which is weird. I actually posted it for $10,000, and like as soon as I posted it, I got tons and tons of messages. So I'm to the point now where I'm going to raise the price higher because there's a ton of people that want it. But I told everybody that I'm not ready. Like it won't be available for a couple weeks. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like my content. I will talk about anything making money related, real estate, landscaping, thrift store finds, and all kinds of stuff. Thanks for watching.